West Ascension Consolidated Gravity-owned District Board meeting is called to order for November the 3rd, 2016. And do the invocation. Good morning. All stand, please. We bow our head. Dear Lord, I'd like you to bless this board to make the right decision for the West Ascension Drainage District. Also bless this great parish, this great country, and bless all the armed forces servicemen that are serving for this country. Thank you. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call. Everyone is here except Mr. Bill Rue cannot make it. He's on the agenda. Accepting the minutes for October the 6th.
Move, so move.
All right, second that motion. No objection. Minutes approved. Jules Drive, Mr. Craig Anderson.
On Jewel Drive, we got just about all the trees up, got it nice and clean back there. We just need to start working on putting the fence back up.
Okay.
You know, and he got a part of a fence that he wants us to put up there. They didn't have a fence there, so I guess y'all want us to do that.
Okay, where I mean, is it in the project or outside the project?
It's inside the project.
Yeah. I don't foresee, there's a problem unless there's a legal issue with it. I mean, he did the act of donation to give us the right of way. I don't foresee any problem with that. Mr.
I thought it wasn't a problem.
Mr. O'Neill?
Sir? I'm sorry.
I mean, the landowner gave us an act of right of way and everything, and there's a part of the fence that it didn't have one, and we're just going to extend the fence through that extension, huh, correct?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
So, I don't proceed, so, okay. All right. We want to leave it on, or we want to complete it, or wait till the big rain come and then we say it work or don't work?
That's what I've been waiting for, the big rain to see.
All right. We're going to leave it on there just in case we have any other issue with the fence and the landowner. All right. Item number 5, Lemonville Cutoff Bridge. Ron, support, Mr. Ron.
Not much change since last. A couple more roads have been closed on the east side, Joseph Area Road. So they are dealing with some roads that are actually closed right now.
Okay.
Those crews.
So we're just waiting for that crew to come back from the other side to do with it. All right. Bill, you got any question on that?
No.
All right.
I will kind of make a comment on the St. Jude ditch, even though I received this compliment a good while ago while it was still raining, but I had a couple of people from St. Jude say that the culverts seem to be working good, and they appreciated that work.
Appreciate that.
Once again, we ain't had a big rain yet, but
No, this was.
it's looking good right now. Item number 6, cover for Bayou Napoleon, Mr. Ron.
I think Bill had left that on the agenda. Bill Dawson had wanted to talk to Bill Rue about it some.
This is no, not Bayou.
I don't know, that anything, Bayou Napoleon probably was on because we had a speaker on it last time from the grass company, and the other thing was, that was his concern. I went and looked at it myself, and I'm still not convinced that's gonna work. I'm just being honest. I know y'all engineers say that's supposed to work, but in my estimation that, a bridge would have been the best thing. But we'll see when the rain comes, and hopefully.
Well, can I ask a question on that?
Yes, sir.
Is that designed to be a low water crossing?
Yes. And
And what worries me about it is there's no erosion protection on the top. So if it's designed to be overtopped, then I'm afraid the top is going to erode away, and then you're going to erode out the sides.
I think that we did the scope of work that the work order said. Got to get into. That's road crossing for that landowner, he would probably have to put aggregate or some kind of concrete or whatever he would so desire on that, but we went with what the work order stated, was put the culvert in and riprap. And anything further than that, the landowner probably would have to furnish the material to do that.
Did anybody comment?
I'm not crazy about that answer. I mean, we shouldn't go do something that we know will not hold up.
I could get with Bill and see if he would allow us to put some material on top of it.
I mean, you did a good job of riprap around the entrances and exits, but since it's a low water crossing, we know it's gonna be topped. And there's gonna be velocity there. And so you know that that's gonna be eroded away.
Okay. Like, I'll bring it to Bill and see
Okay.
if he wants to put some rock or something on top of that.
Well, I would say you're gonna, I mean, and then also, you know, when Oliver and I looked at that, I think it's, you know, probably the entrance and exits should be grouted. I mean, 'cause you had a lot of fines in there too.
Again, I think, I talked to Bill about it earlier today, he said any
Well,
problem.
see if he'll go out there and look at it.
Huh?
See if he'll go look at it.
I sure will.
All right, item 7, West Ascension budget. Mr. Bill Rue can't be here, but this is an item that I also put it on there. So I just wanted to let our new budget is coming in this year, about $500,000 over our budget from previous years, and that is a concern that me and Bill had originally. Bill had asked for $1 million over our current budget, and we talked, and we got it down to at least to reduce it. But based on that pace right now, West Ascension Drainage collect $950,000 a year in tax revenues. The two taxes we could collect is about 10%, and we had on that we pretty much operate within that budget all the other years that I've been here, and now under the new master plan, or what we're going to do with consolidating DPW and drainage and all that under Bill Rue and everything, he added some additional funds to it, and that was a concern. But I just wanted to let the public know that our budget that we collect a year is $950,000, and as we know, we need more work done. And in that money, we do not have any capital improvement.
Correct.
So, what the extra $500,000, if we keep this pace on every year, adding an additional extra $500,000, in 2 years, we would not be able to fund West Ascension drainage. And that's a concern to me, and I definitely wanted to address that issue with Bill and let the public know that. You know, West Ascension drainage don't have all the money that people assume we have. So, and I hope the public will, if you're interested in it, please go to look up our budget that we're gonna have this upcoming year, or go to the assessor office and ask for this information. And so that's what we wanted to discuss on the budget, just letting them know what we collect and what we expect to spend this year on it.
Okay,
Bill?
so just to reiterate, we have, and I don't see the fund balances in here, but if I remember correctly, we had about $1.5 million in the
1.4.
in the fund balance. So this year, we reduced the expenditures, or we asked Bill, and he reduced the expenditures by $500,000. But we're still spending $500,000 more than what we're taking in West Ascension drainage. So we have them, you know, I mean, anybody can do the math on that. So we have $1.5 million left in 3 years. We won't have anything in the reserve fund. That means that we'll have to we'll have to cut the spending by 33%, and it means that there won't be any money for capital improvements.
We keep on saying capital improvement, but
Capital expenditures.
but that's for special projects that we'll need on the West Bank. That's, Bayou Napoleon, or, Bayou, cleaning out major ditches, or covering them up, or lining them with cement, or any special project. We do not have any extra funds to do any project like that. So, what we do is cut grass and maintain ditches, the one that we got, but no special project to improve anything as of yet. So, we are doing, West Ascension Drainage is doing a daily operation over the budget we got. So, on item 8 is a agreement with the city of Downsville and West Ascension Drainage, and that was up for discussion. Once again, we was hoping Bill would be here so we can enlighten on some of the service, and that's based on our budget, based on some of the services that we're going to be able to do and what that service we won't be able to do inside the city, and we need to discuss that with the city of Downsville. And so, Ms. Baker, we're going to leave that on to Mr. Bill Root get there, and hopefully we have this meeting with the city of Downsville before the next meeting. Moving on to item number 9, West Ascension Master Drainage Plan, Mr. Bill Root. I know we don't have anything on that. I know Mr. Ron have some information they do have, and he have currently asked us to meet with him on that. And unfortunately, we haven't had time to do that, Ron, but that Master Drainage Plan is still on the books, and basically we got to have a public hearing and all that and agree to those terms and everything. But you had noticed that we had done some work in the past of what canals.
They have identified pretty much almost all of the channels in Donaldsonville in a layer in technology department. So they do have a GIS layer. With someone in engineering had done this work before. Previous time they tried to do this. So they have a lot of the footwork done. If you all would like me to have a large map that we can lay out, the same small one I emailed you, and we can critique it, name ditches, whatever y'all want to name them. They have a legend already with several of them named, and they're willing to work with y'all any way you'd like to get y'all started on that.
You need to meet with them over here.
Yeah. Whenever you're free next week, Bill, I'm gonna be available except Tuesday morning.
No, Tuesday's a holiday. Tuesday or holiday.
Wednesday.
Tuesday
The ninth.
holiday, and what else is a holiday?
Yes.
The 9th.
Ninth, we got a meeting.
Meet. That's right.
I'm only available Monday.
I'll be out of town next week.
We'll look at the next week.
All right.
That would be better.
Okay. All right, we'll work on that one there, Ron, to meet on.
And Ron, can you get somebody to help set that up for next week and send some invitations or some dates? We'll try to get some. Maybe Peggy can do it. Yeah.
All right. Moving on to item number 10, St. James Assumption Drainage. Mr. Thomas Pierce.
T. Baker Smith has acquired a DNR permit, and they also are applying to Corps of Engineers, as we all know, for a permit. And that's to dredge Bayou Napoleon from the bridge, Highway 70, by the truck stop to Bayou Verret, just down just north of the LaPeace oil field, off of Highway 3127. Then the dredging is going to continue down Bayou Verret for about 4 miles. The big issue is in the first mile and a half, it's filled with silt, and that's where the dredging is. That's where the big issue is. And once they dredge that out, then of course we know the water's going to flow out down that way. there's a subdivision that is affected in Assumption Parish off of 70. Donaldsonville area is affected because of that. And also some communities along the St. James Canal, which more or less runs parallel to 3127. The parish will need to do a hydraulic and hydrology study with a cost yet to be determined. And this will be a downstream study to show no adverse effect in the areas downstream. The study is to be approximate. I don't know, when I said I don't know exactly what the cost is going to be. That's going to be determined. St. James has spent some money on this project. I think to the tune of about $45,000-$50,000. And a lot of the areas that's affected by Napoleon, Bayou Verret, Bayou Chevere, and Bayou Cedamon in the St. James Canal, in the upper St. James Canal, and the little Bayou Verret, which I will try to go over this more thoroughly in a meeting that we set up with the senator and our representative, Senator Troy Brown, and Representative Ed Price. And that will be Wednesday, as you guys have requested, at 9 o'clock in the morning, here at the HR conference room. So that kind of concludes that little report, and then I will get into it further when we get into that meeting on Wednesday.
Bill, you ask your question first, because most.
Maybe for clarification, you said T. Baker Smith was contracted to do this. Who?
St. James Parish.
St. James contracted them. And who's going to do the H&H study?
St. James Parish.
St. James. So none of that is to be paid for by Ascension. Is that correct?
I would expect that they would ask Ascension because it's affecting areas in Ascension and it's affecting areas in Assumption. And from what I understand, Assumption has contributed a small portion to that project. I don't know how much. I'm gonna get those figures up. I'm gonna try to have them maybe next month. I don't know if I can get them for the 9th. But I've spoken with T. Baker Smith, engineer, and he's kind of filled me in on some what's been happening in the past.
Yeah. Bill, I can tell you when he said that at $40,000 or $50,000 they contribute. Ms. Peggy, if you don't mind going back in the minutes a couple of years ago, I think we contributed close to like 12 or 20, between $12,000 to $20,000 in it, and we made the motion to do that. Me and Kent, based on T. Baker Smith. So that was, and at the time that wasn't budget, so we had to take that out of our
Capital reserve.
Our reserve fund. And the last time, and here come that problem, where Moose saying they're asking for some more money for that other study. Yeah, we're gonna have to pay our fair share, and that was that surplus money. I was called it that extra surplus money. I call it was supposed to be for it. They estimated to drain that canal to do it was going to be between $2.5 to $5 million. That was on the small end. The small end. So if we have to put anything to improve that canal right there, we're going to be looking at our fair share of it. And it will complete all our additional funds. And if we're using it up now on a day-to-day operation budget, when that project comes, we're going to be sitting here looking for some additional funds.
So one of the things that, I mean, normally you don't start in the middle of a drainage system and clean out the middle or the front, you start at the back end. So, I mean, I question why we go and we do dredging and, I never imagined it'd be $2 or $3 million, but we spend $2 or $3 million, that's not gonna help any of the drainage because you still can't get out.
From what the gentleman is telling me, the canals are like 8 foot deep. And towards the end, going into Lake des Allemands, Bayou Sevier is approximately 11 foot deep. And you got that, I guess that hump or that where that silt is, you get that out and then you're rolling on down
Well,
the bayou.
they have some verification that there's a restriction or something in there, but it goes against the common way that streams flow. They don't normally build up mountains in the middle of them.
I'm just giving you the information the engineer
T.
gave me.
Baker Smith.
Huh?
Yeah, so I
And-
think we better, I'd like to have a little better understanding of what we're gonna accomplish when we do this.
I asked him to be here tonight to give a presentation. And at first, he indicated that he would be here, and he called me this morning and told me he wouldn't be able to make it, that he'd try to come next month. I think it's December the 1st when we meet. And we'll have him here, and we can ask him, because he is the engineer that
Or we
is
can have
running the whole project, you know.
I mean, we can
Now,
have
in reference to,
a meeting, outside of here if that's easier.
That's fine too. We can all get together, and I'm sure he's very accommodating, very nice gentleman, and willing to give the information and give their help. In regards to the $2-3 million you're talking about, I don't want to say anything in concrete or definite, but he said something about in the project that the Bayou Lafourche levee board would help with this project, or maybe dredging. Well,
I know, and that's the question where we are going with, I have asked those questions too, and that's why we're trying to set the meet with the legislature. Because once again, the levee board, them used to keep up this canal with their equipment. But somewhere along the line of it doing it, the Corps engineer came in and it's basically stopped them from doing certain work. And their hands are just as tied as our hand, and that's why we're trying to put this legislature board, meeting, our legislative meeting together.
also another cost that we hadn't discussed would be the wetlands. And when they dredge that canal in the wetlands, they're gonna have to go to a mitigation bank or something like that. And when you buy those credits at a mitigation bank, it costs a little bit to do that.
So that left what I call surplus is pretty much gone.
It's gone, whether we, either way.
I hadn't looked at the budget as closely recently, but it's a big cost.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Pierce, I appreciate that update on it. That's more information that we were pretty much up to date. It's gonna cost us some money, and having that meeting is very important.
And we'll get the,
appreciate you putting together a meeting.
yes, sir. And we'll get the senator and the representative here next Wednesday. And I'll try to get the engineer that's over this project to give us a thorough information on what he's done over the years, and what he's expected to do in the next near future.
All right. Item number 10. Item number 11, reports. Mr. Ron Savoy.
I had given you a copy of the cartograph reports. We covered pretty much everything else. You got any questions about that?
What is this right here?
That is the report that we've been asking about, that coming out of Cartograph now. I had, one of the questions, Ron, if you, that we're looking at, and this report here basically says what, Public Works Department does inside the city and outside the city. We're trying to keep track of how much work we do inside the city and how much work we do outside the city. And what is the cost factor on it? We have to start looking at things exactly what it is. This is about money. And so, we asked Ron them to start giving us this report, and as we go along, we're gonna get more detail. As of right now, outside the city limits of Donaldsonville, we did 165 tasks, and inside the city limits, we've done 28 tasks as of right now. Ron, can you give me, how long this report, just 1 month, 2
Yeah,
months?
if you look at the second page, that's why that's on there, it's highlighted. The run report dates is from January of 16 to present. So this is the tasks that were done in 2016 in DPWS.
So can we get the cost of this?
Sure, we could.
So each one of these work requests or service requests, whatever they are, work orders, so they all can be tracked. The money, the manpower, and the
Certainly.
material can be tracked independently on that work order?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, great. So I'd be interested in that for the next meeting is, you know, what are these total? How much do these total?
We certainly can get you that.
Ron, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I have to say this here right now because you got under this report here, cutting roadside grass, Parish Road and State Road.
Right.
That's on the city, and you have it on the Parish Road.
That's, I can explain that. If you look at the title of the activities, they're broken down. As you know, we're defining the work order system with the divide of the deals, and that is a flaw. The activity, there should be one for spraying a ditch if we're gonna do that in the city limits of Donaldsonville. But that's related to that agenda item. We needed to define the scope of what we're gonna be doing and clean these activities up to reflect our activities that we're responsible for taking care of in Donaldsonville. So, yeah, these things, I guess you would say, would raise a brow if you look down on it. But if you, like you said, you go to this work order and you get more into what the details are of it, the text of the person that requested it, the address where it's at, you'd see more about what it's about. But certainly we can customize these activities to reflect what all the results of that agenda item would be.
And on that, I just want to state, we had a transportation meeting this week, and Mr. Bill Roos said that they have reached an agreement with the state that we are no longer, the parish will no longer be cutting state roads. And that is an issue that me and Mr. Bill Roos disagree on. And I just want to assure him I have a problem with that because, you know, those state roads, 85 to 90% of them is on this side of the river. And my problem is, I don't think you won't get the phone call, or Mr. Anderson, or Mr. Moose, Bill, or myself on state roads. If we terminate that contract, we have to ensure the public know that that contract is terminated and they need to call their state rep in the state. Okay? And once again, I did not vote on that. I'm going to be perfectly clear. I know what I voted on. I know what I gave authorization for. So I just want the public to know, my constituent, if you live on the state road and your grass is not getting cut, we have terminated that contract for the parish to cut state road. Call your state representative or call your senator or call DOTD. Unless I get something different, the understanding is we don't cut state road. Correct, Mr. Ron?
I watched the transportation committee you're referring to, and on the east side, yes, they have stopped altogether. DOTD has come on board and started maintaining those highways. I did see where Bill was discussing that on this side. I guess he may have more insight on it as well, but I think they are intending on fading out of cutting the state highways.
I just wanted my constituent to know that. That's all. Bill, you have anything?
I thought we voted on that.
No, we voted to give him authorization to talk to the state, negotiate, and come back and ask us. I mean, perfectly remember what I voted on. Unless somebody show me a video saying I'd say, yeah. We voted on for them to go talk to them. All right, Mr. Ron, you have any other? All right.
No, I think you'd take that up with Mr. Rue, like you said.
Oh, don't worry. I have no problem with that. Mr. Moose Pier, you have anything on your report?
I'm good.
Mr. Anderson,
No, I'm good.
item number 12, Ms. Baggett. Date and time,
December 1st,
5:15.
December already.
Item number 13, Mr.
I
Dawson.
move to adjourn.
I second. Meeting adjourned.